We know that our Shipgirls look great, there's no denying that. Aside from the obvious areas, there's one very important area to see: their eyes. You know your eyes, right? It's what we use to see what is around us. In real life, we only have so many different eye colours, determined by our iris's pigment colour, which itself is determined by genetics. In the realm of anime though, such barriers are non-existent. Any artist can style the iris of their creations the way they see fit. This mentality is heavily prevalent in Azur Lane. Take two separate ships from two different artists, and more likely than not, there will be noticeable stylistic differences. The inverse is true when looking at two ships from the same artist. Some will choose to emphasize the eye's size and/or the granular detail, while others may opt to not heavily focus on them at all. There is no correct approach. In terms of the iris colour itself, we have the standard array of options and the rare red colour. Starting with brown, the most common eye colour among humans is noticeably less common amongst the cast of Azur Lane. Examples of this colour can be seen on Horn, Zuikaku and Kazagamo. Moving on to blue, this iris colour is much more common across all ships, and as such can be seen in a multitude of forms. Some of these examples include Kaga, Akasta, New Jersey and Sovietskaya Belorussia. Green is a surprisingly rare iris colour for humans, as well as a somewhat uncommon colour among the AL cast. The shades of green we sometimes see end up being a more saturated emerald versus reality. Some of my favourite examples include Thorban, Aurora, Anshan and Southampton. Grey is perhaps the least striking of the natural iris colours, and as such isn't very common for most of the ships. You can find this colour on ships like Flounder, Umikaze and Charybdis. Hazel is a lighter mix of brown and green and can be mistaken for brown or even gold in certain light conditions. Chokai is my favourite example to use here, particularly with her maid skin. Last but not least are red irises. While it is a relatively common iris colour for the ships, it is a different style of red compared to what is possible in real life. Cecilia and Joffre, although appearing more pink, are the closest to a red that is humanly possible. This transitions us over to the next category of fantasy eye colours. Colours usually not possible in real life without the use of contacts. Staying with red, more deeper shades are possible to achieve. Ingraham is one of my favourite ships, and just so happens to be an example of this. London is also a good example, especially with her later artworks. Finally, there's also Akagi and Taiho, whose red eyes can be seen as a symbol of danger due to their tendencies. Pink irises are a somewhat common fantasy colour, which can pair well with itself, as seen with Perseus, Princeton and Emmanuel Persagno. These three pair pink eyes with accompanying pink hair. The last general example I will give are golden irises. I put it here since many of these examples have an eye colour lighter than hazel, which can be seen as gold in some lighting. An example would be Haitian, the glow of her eyes matching the various finishings on her outfit. We also have HMS Enterprise, who has a dimmer glow to her eyes, albeit lighter than hazel. Since this could be a debatable point, list ships you deem have golden eye colours in the comments below, as we'll move on to some unique cases. Kearsarge's magenta irises with cyan pupils not only nicely complement the rest of her design, but also help sell the notion of her being a symbol of futurism within the Eagle Union. Yoisuke and Lemarlin both have star-like pupils within their iris, which carries over to the chibi art. Blucher, Attilio Regolo and Portland have hard pupils as standard. This could be to accentuate them being more affectionate towards their special someone. For Blucher and Regolo, their commander, and for Portland, their sister. Others may only have it as one part of their expression list. When expressing certain emotions, some ships' eyes will devolve into a simple exaggerated shape. Their eyes could also darken in colour, either to express deep concern or disgust. Of course, there's one more elephant that needs to be addressed. Heterochromia. Different colour eyes. This can happen in real life, but the odds are extremely rare. Examples of it in Azur Lane are also rather sparse. You probably already know quite a few examples though: Ibuki, Roma, Indianapolis, Elbing, the rare oddities become a spectacle in your dock that are quickly recognisable. There is one more part of the equation I could describe, a very important accessory for the eyes. However, I believe it deserves its own separate video. Stay tuned for when it comes out. To end off, I'd like to ask you all, what ship has your favourite eye colour or style? Comment below, and thanks for watching.